Good morning, students. Welcome back to operating system class. Today we'll continue the deadlock prevention. What is a deadlock? Deadlock criteria, deadlock characteristics. The last class we have completed the what is a deadlock and deadlock characteristics. Okay, so what is a deadlock? Deadlock is nothing but if it is more than one process is requesting for a resource and that resource is held by the another process. Okay, and that process is waiting for the another resources. So in that case, what happened? Whatever resources are there, that whatever process are there, they will never complete its execution. That situation is called as a deadlock. Here, one more definition is there. Actually, when you will get a deadlock situation, so in a multi-programming environment, when multiple process in a multi-programming environment, multiple process are fighting or they're requesting for resources and which are fixed. So there are only finite number of resources and for that resources the multiple process are fighting. In what happened in that case, all process never completes the execution. So that situation is called as a deadlock. And what live examples I have given? One traffic jam I have given and the railway track also I have given. That examples you can implement. Okay, so what is a deadlock? Deadlock is nothing but a process is holding some resource and requesting for a new resource which is held by the another process. In that case, what happened? The two processes will never complete the execution. So that situation is called as deadlock. Okay, so for deadlock, one system model I have given. So in a multi-programming environment, when any process want the resources, then what model they have to follow? Okay, what are the steps? First one is whichever process want the resource, first the process should request the resource. If the resource is available, then the resources are allocated to that process. Next, after allocating the resources, the process will use the resource and after using the resource, it will release the resources. That is the model. Why it is releasing the resources? Because if the process is releasing the resources, then that resource can be allocated to any other process. That was a system model of deadlock. Now come to the characterization. So on what basis you will characterize, you will decide whether there is a deadlock or not. What is the first one? Mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion means actually in a multi-programming environment, if the resources are there. Resources means like a printer, Xerox machine, the last class I have explained. Okay, that resources are non-shareable. Means if one process is using the resource and another process want to use that resource and it is interrupting for the resources, that process, the current process which is using the resources, that will not be preempted. That is called as a non-preemptive. Okay. So in non-preemptive mutual exclusion, what happened? Whatever common resources are there, that resources, if any resource is there, it's not only for the common resource, the normal resource also you can take. If any resource is there and that resource is a non-shareable mode, then that will lead to a deadlock. Okay, non-shareable means only one process can execute at a time. If the another process is requesting for the same resource, it may lead to a deadlock. That is the first characteristic. And the second one is hold and wait. Actually, what is a hold and wait? One process is holding some resource and requesting for a new resources which is held by the another process. In that situation also, process will never complete its execution. That will lead to a deadlock. Okay. The third one is a non-preemptive. Non-preemptive means the resources which are non-preemptive. Means if the resources are used by one process, if another process is requesting for the same resources, then the current process is not relieved from the CPU. So that is called as non-preemptive. If for any resource, if non-preemptive is there, then that may lead to a deadlock. Okay, understood? And next, waiting time. For any process, if waiting time is more, then that may also lead to a deadlock. Okay, and here, one more point I have forgot to tell you, circular wait. Circular wait means, example, if the first process is requesting for the resource which is held by the second process, and second process is waiting for the resource that is held by the third process, and third process is requesting for the resources that are held by the first process. So this circular way. So if the circular is there in a resource sharing, then that may also lead to a deadlock. Okay. So that is the first one, and based on the resource allocation graph also you can find out whether there is a deadlock or not. The resource allocation graph, the number of resources are is nothing but the set of R1, R2 to the Rn, number of process P1 to Pn. If there is a it means if any process is requesting for the resource, then there is a direct edge, means Pi to Rj. And if any resource is allocated to the process, then is the direct edge from Rj to the Pi. Okay, so in this case, if there is a circular range, if there is a circular in the graph, then you can decide there is a deadlock. That's all yesterday what I have explained. So today we'll continue the deadlock topic only, but the topic is different. What topic today I am going to explain is deadlock handling, deadlock prevention, or you can say the deadlock handling. Deadlock handling is deadlock handling. Topic is deadlock handling. Deadlock handling techniques. Actually, this is a main topic. What methods we use to handle a deadlock, to avoid a deadlock. So here we have 4 methods. If you complete this 4 method, this unit and this chapter will over. So this is the last topic in your second chapter. Okay. With this topic, your second unit will over. Clear? Now come to deadlock handling techniques. Actually, when a deadlock happens, when actually maximum it will comes in a multi-programming environment only. So in a multi-programming environment, multiple processes are fighting for the finite set of resources, fixed number of resources. Then that situation may lead to a deadlock. Okay, so if there is a deadlock, how to prevent? Means actually you are expecting a deadlock. So before coming to a deadlock, how it should be prevented? What techniques, what methods we can use to prevent a deadlock? That we are going to discuss today. Okay. So in that, here we have 4 techniques which are used to handle a deadlock. Okay, when deadlock occurs, okay, how to handle the deadlock? Here we have 4 techniques. The first one is a deadlock prevention, deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection, deadlock recovery. Okay, and these 4 are separate topics, and each and every question you will get in essay. Means this is not a short question, short answer. Each and every topic you may expect essays only. It is not a short answer. Clear all of you? Now, in this, first we will discuss about the deadlock prevention. Okay, today we will complete the deadlock prevention. Deadlock prevention. Okay, so preventing a deadlock means before deadlock occurs, what you need to check. Okay, so actually deadlock, when it will occur, whenever any process requesting for any resource, whenever any process is requesting for any resource, then operating system should check whether the resources are available. Means every time while a process is requesting for any resource, and if the process is executing something, every time the operating system should check whether the system is in a deadlock state or in a safe. Every time it should monitor. Okay, so it means actually here what happened, if any resource is if any process is requesting for any resource, then the operating system has to check whether the resources are available or not, and if it is not, where that resource. Every time the operating system should monitor each and every transaction executed by the process. Okay, because before if you are expecting a deadlock, before that only you can take the necessary actions. That is why every time the process need to check each and every every execution of each and every process, so that the system will not lead to a deadlock. Okay, actually when you can expect the deadlock, there are four necessary conditions. The first one is a mutual exclusion, the second one is a hold and wait, third one is a circular wait, and the next one is a preemption, no preemption. So in that four cases only, you can expect the deadlock. So under deadlock prevention, you need to discuss this four techniques, means where you are expecting a deadlock. So in that four characters, you need to think the appropriate solution so that you can avoid the deadlock. I'll repeat. When you can expect a deadlock, when there are four necessary conditions occurs: mutual exclusion, hold and wait, circular wait, and no preemption. In these four cases only, you can expect the deadlock. Okay, if any one of the condition is satisfied, four conditions are there. If any one of that condition is satisfied, then there is a deadlock. So what you have to do is, before that four conditions occurs in your system, you need to provide the solution. If that condition is, if you are expecting that condition, what is the solution for that? How to prevent your system from that condition? That you have to check. Okay. So here how many conditions we have? Four conditions. From that four conditions, you can expect a deadlock. So here today I am going to provide a solutions for that four conditions, because here our topic is deadlock prevention. Okay, so deadlock preventing means what? Before deadlock occurs, what precautions, what solutions you have to implement in your system. That today here we are going to discuss. Clear? So what is the first condition? I said four conditions are there which may lead to a deadlock. The first one is a mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion. Mutual exclusion means what? Actually it is 100% implemented when there is a shareable resources. Okay, so actually resource point of view, if one resource is there and that resource is requesting by more than one process at the same time. Okay, more than one process at the same time, then it may lead to a deadlock. Okay, understood? Actually all the maximum the resources are non-shareable. Means when one resource is there, that resource should be used by only the one process. At the same time, if another process is requesting for the same resource, it may lead to a deadlock. So what is the solution for this? Here, what you have to do is, in order to overcome from this, all the resources, whatever resources are there, that resources must be shareable. That resources must be shareable. But in real-time system, it is not possible. For all few resources, you can give a shareable, but all the resources we cannot implement the sharing. Because example, if tape drive is there, printer is there, at the same time that resource cannot be used by more than one process. If one process is giving the print, another process need to wait. So another process is waiting, that may lead to a starvation. And if the process is waiting for a long time, that may lead to a deadlock. So achieving mutual exclusion, so providing solution to the mutual exclusion in real time, it is not possible, because keeping resources shareable, okay, all the resources shareable is not possible, but in the system some resources are there that should be in a non-shareable mode, okay, like a tape drive and printer. That resources cannot be implemented as a shareable. In that case, if more than one process is requesting for the printer or any tape drive, that system may wait for a long time. That may lead to a deadlock. So right now, there is no solution for the resource sharing. Means the resource is non-shareable. Some resources, it is not applicable for all the resources. Some resources you can use it shareable, but some resources should be in a non-shareable. Okay, so the resources which are in a non-shareable, that, for only more than one process is requesting for that resource, it may lead to a deadlock. Okay, understood? Now come to the next one. Next one here. Hold and wait. Okay, hold and wait. So here, hold and wait. Actually, what is the hold and wait? The process is holding some resources. Example here, 3 resources are there: R1, R2, R3. And one process is P1 and second process is P2. Already, P1 is holding R1 and R2, and it is requesting for R3, which is held by the P2. Okay, so here what happened? P1 is holding some resources and it is waiting for a new resources. That is called as a hold and wait. And that resource is held by another process. This may lead to a deadlock because there is a cycling. Okay, so if you want to provide a solution for this condition, what solution you will provide? Here I have 3 approaches for this hold and wait. Hold and wait. Hold and wait. The first approach one is approach 1. See here, process P1 is there. P1 and P1, P2, 2 processes are there, and we have a resource R1, R2, R3 and R4. Here P1 needs these 3. Example. So in the first approach, what we are doing is, whenever process starts its execution, whatever resources are needed, all the resources allocated to that process. Okay, so the process need not to wait for the resource which held by the another process. Here, so in this first approach, whatever we are doing is, whenever the process is requesting for any resource for its execution, at the initial point, at the starting only, we will allocate all the resources, so that the process no need to wait for the resources which are held by another process. Okay, here we have advantage. What advantage we have? You can remove the circular wait, but at the same time we have a disadvantage, because at the same time you are giving all the resources. But currently, example, we have given keyboard, mouse, printer to process P1. But right now, process no need this printer. For a long time, it no need. After 10 minutes, 20 minutes, it needs a printer. So what happened? These devices are not used properly. Okay, it means that the performance of that device will come down. That device in an idle mode. Till that time, other process can use that resources. Okay, it will remove the cycling. But the thing is, it is less efficient. Clear all of you? And it is not easy to allocate all the resources, and it is not easy to interpret the resources which are processes requesting at the start. Okay, it is less efficient because the device's time is coming down. The device is not a device's time. For the more time, the devices are in a idle state. Okay. Now come to the second approach. Approach 2. The process is requesting for any resource. Process is requesting, example, 5 resources. Out of this 5 resources, right now, currently, whatever resources are needed, example, 3 resources are needed currently, that resources will be allocated to that process, and remaining 2 resources that will be allocated to that process later. Okay, but here the condition is, whenever the process is requesting for the new resources, first it should release the resources which are held by the process previously. Okay, understood? So, whenever a process is requesting for any resources, right now, the resources which are important, which are needed, that are given to that process, and which are not needed right now, that will be given later. Okay, so whenever the process is requesting for the new resources, then what happened? Whatever resources are given to that process already, that should be released by the process, so that the new resources can be given to the process. Okay, this compared to the first approach, this is better, but here also we have some disadvantage. Example, in this process is requesting for the 5 resources. First we have given 3 resources and we say to the process, take the 2 resources after some time. But whenever the process is requesting for the remaining 2 resources, at that time that resources may not be free, the resources may not available. Then what happened? This situation may lead to starvation, means the process need to wait for the new resources. Okay, this is compared to the first approach, this is a better. But here also disadvantage is there. One disadvantage, actually one drawback is there, that is a starvation. Means the process need to wait for the new resources if the resources are not available. Clear? Now, the third approach is third approach. In the third approach, what happened? Here we are not giving all the resources at that time. Whenever the process is requesting for any resources, for each and every resource will give a fixed time. So what happened? After the completion of that fixed time, the process need to release the resources. Okay, so that resources can be given to another process, so that you can maximum utilize that devices, that resources. So in this way you can remove the circular wait. Okay, now come to the no preemption. So come to the no preemption. Actually, when there is a preemption algorithm is there, preemptive resources are there, then there is no situation of the deadlock. Example, this is a resource. The process P1 is using. At the same time, P2 is requesting. So what happened? The resource is there, that is taken out from the P1 and that is given to a P2. That is called as a preemption. If there is a preemption, there is no question of the deadlock. But in case of non-preemption is there, for some resources, if there is a non-preemption, then if only one process can use the resource at the same time. Till the completion of execution of that process, that resource cannot be taken out from that process. So if such characterization is there, then it may lead to a deadlock. So here the solution is, when any process is requesting for the resource and that resource is held by another process, then what happened? That process need to wait. Okay, so in that case, what we do is, whatever resources already given to that process which is waiting, then what we do, we'll take out all the resources. Okay, till the process waiting time, that this resources can be used by another process. And when then what happened with the new resource, the old resources are also given to this current process. Example, P1 is requesting for a R3. It is already R1, next R2 with the P1 only. Okay, P1 is already hold R1 and R2. Okay, with the P1 already R1 and R2 is there, and it is requesting for the R3. So what happened? For the R3 is held by the P2. Okay, then what happened here? The process need to wait for a long time. So what happened? This example is waiting time is 5 milliseconds. Till the 5 milliseconds, this R1, R2 can be used by another process. Then what happened? Forcibly, here we'll remove this R1 and R2. Next, whenever it will get, this process will get the R3, with R3 will give R1 and R2. Okay, understood? This is the one solution. Because the resources you can use, at least the resources cannot be in a idle mode. And the process which are waiting for this R1 and R2, they can complete its execution. Clear all of you? This is the first solution. And here one more, second solution. Second approach, example, P1 is there. P1 is already with the P1, R1 is there and it is waiting for the R2, and it is with the P2 example, and it is waiting for a R3. Okay, so here P1 is holded already R1 and it is requesting for the R2. Clear? Next, P2 is there. It is requesting for a R. Sorry, wait. So here P1 is already holded R1 and it is waiting for the R2, which is held by the P2 and which is waiting for the R3. So here what happened is this R2 is in an idle mode. So in that case, if P1 is requesting for any resource and that resource is held by the another process and that process is waiting for the another resource, then what happened in this case? Forcefully we are preventing. That means we are taking out a resource from the process and that will be given to a P1. Okay, so this is the second. In using this case also, you can come out from a deadlock. This is a third one. What is the next one? The next one is a circular wait. Okay, the next approach is a circular wait. So, now actually circular wait means if P1 is waiting for a R1, R1 is held by the P2 and P2 is waiting for a R3 and R3 is held by the some another resource, means there is a cycle. So this situation you can violate by how you can violate by seeing that there should not be a cycle. So if you want to implement the system where there should not be a cycling, there are two methods. The one method is there that we'll discuss and second method in the coming topics I will explain. So in the first method what we'll do is for each and every process we'll allocate the resources and we'll give one integer number. Okay, example means example P1 is there and P2 is there. For P2 example I have given R5 and P2 I have given some R6 example. So this process can request the resource is in an increasing order or in a decreasing order. Okay, so example for this P1 we have given R5 in a increasing order. Example increasing order. So it can request the resource like R6, R7, R8. If it is requesting for P1, P2, P3, it won't be allocated. Okay, maximum 4 is 5 resources are given and that number is R5. So again if that process is requesting for that resources, it won't be allocated. It can request the resource from R5 to R6, R7 in an increasing order. Okay, so R1, R2, R3 which are allocated to this P1 that will be removed from a P1. Now example if you have given in a decreasing order. Example here R6 have given. Here it is a reverse order. It can request up to R1, R2, R3, R5. It is requesting R7, R8 that won't be allocated. Clear? Circular wait we can remove. Means for each and every process will give some fixed number and that process can request the resource either in ascending order or in a descending order. What is requesting for the ascending order? Then what happened? Example, the maximum number is you have given R5. Then it can request above the R5, means after the R5, R6, R7. It is requesting for the resources R1, R2, R3 that won't be allocated. Clear? Because that already allocated, that process need to give back the resources. If the process is following the reverse order, means in this descending order, then what happened? Example R6 is there. It can request from R1 to R5 only. It cannot request R7, R8, R9. Okay, understood all of you? So this is about the deadlock prevention. Clear? Okay, and this approach is maximum we are using and it is okay. Understood? This is very easy, either ascending order and descending order. This is a deadlock prevention. I hope you all understood. This is the first techniques to handle the deadlock. Next, deadlock avoidance, deadlock detection, deadlock. It's very easy. Practically you should implement. Okay, if I'll say resource, then you imagine either printer, either Xerox machine or any keyboard, mouse. Like that you should imagine. Then this topic will be easy. This complete chapter easily you can write. Clear? So today we completed deadlock prevention. Deadlock prevention, first you need to decide on what conditions you are going to get the deadlock. As far as the mutual exclusion, circular wait, no preemption. Okay, and one more is circular wait, hold and wait. 4 conditions are there. That 4 conditions you need to think the solutions. Okay, so that's all about today. The next class I will explain the deadlock avoidance. Thank you.